Yeah, it's kind of the analogy that I like to go back to is the pirate ship versus Navy ship. When we first started, there was no one really in charge. It was all just figure it out together, and it was not really understanding the rules or the kind of industry expectations. It was kind of just hoping we had another day. Now we had challenges with money, we had challenges with our marketing, we had challenges with HR. We still have some of those problems. It's probably the biggest transition we made is when we decided, we need to start doing things a little bit more formally with policies and leaders. And
this is something I'd still tell the team now, right? And there's always 1,000 problems, but there's also 10,000 good things that we did. And that is the approach we should always wake up each day, thinking about, being able to celebrate all of the good things that we're doing and be able to, be grateful on all the great things that are happening. But Andrew, what were some biggest challenge that we faced as we grew? Like what did we do to try and handle some of those setbacks? Welcome back, Leverage Addicts, to another episode where we talk all things property and finance. I'm incredibly excited today because we have some amazing news to share with you guys. So recently, we were actually named the top mortgage brokerage by NZ Advisors, and our very own senior advisor, Z Yang, he was named number 2 nationwide as the top mortgage advisor. This is the first time we were ranked number 1, and it's been an incredible journey. Obviously, it's not the end, but sitting across me today, you guys know this familiar face, is my co-founder, Andrew Malcolm. And before we dive into the journey, I want to just show you guys some evidence. So I'm going to pull it up on the screen, just scroll past everybody that is paid extra for the marketing package. And right there, without our logo, it's just Mortgage HQ number 1. And we're super stoked with this. And how do we get here? Like the criteria that they were looking at, the first one was expertise across customer needs and demographic. Second one is customer service culture. The third one is strategic thinking and business acumen. And then fourth is the effective business and administration management. So we're super stoked about this. So whether or not you're new to the mortgage industry or you're just new to the podcast, you're a seasoned pro investor, just curious how we built this business, then this episode is for you. We're going to be sharing our journey from just 5 young guys in a small room, actually is this room, but there's another one that is exactly pretty much the same next door. That's where we started. And now we have the whole floor with 40 plus people in East Auckland. And we've settled over $2 billion of mortgages in just 9 years. And of course, as always, if you find value, I'm going to ask for one thing. And this time is slightly different. I'm not going to ask you to share the episode. All I'm looking to do now is to get better. So if you can do me a favor, leave a comment on one thing that you like about the episode and one thing we can improve on. I'd love to hear from you and we'll work on that for sure. So Andrew, let's start from the beginning. What was it like before we started this journey? What motivated us to get into this industry anyway?
Yeah, well, you say that there was 5 of us young guys in the beginning, but I actually think that each of us, you and I, started a lot earlier than that. And it was about a year before we met that I had a blank sheet of paper trying to figure out what to do with my life. It was my birthday. I think I was like around 26. And I didn't really have any good businesses going on at the moment and not really employable. So I was trying to figure out what to do.
Yeah.
So I got a blank sheet. I actually did a paid course, an online course. So I think it was like $5,000, which was a lot of money to me at the time. And I started trying to figure out industries to get into that I could develop my software and marketing skills. And so we spent a year after narrowing down a few industries in the finance game. And then we got to a point where we lost a big client because they had sold their firm. We decided to start our own advisory firm. That's when we met you. And so that year before that, or 2 years, you had been a financial advisor in the insurance and mortgage space. And then you had left your firm and we just met each other at the right time.
Yeah. And at that time, I've been working, like the time we met, I've been working on this online application form for 12 months with some Indian developers. And they were awesome, right? But as soon as I sat down with Ben and John, which were your we were business partners when we started, but they were young guys from McLean's, still in uni at the time.
Yeah.
And they created like an online application form in like 2 nights. And it was a better version than what I had. Because where I saw the industry going was like, okay, we are going with less paperwork. Because the firm that I was working with, everything was still done by, PDF. You get you get your iPad and fill it out, but it's still like a lot of files and paperwork that you had to do. And then when I sat down with you guys, I was like, man, we're going in the same direction. So I was just like, didn't even have to think twice. I was like, well, I've got nothing really going on. I just quit my job, started this thing.
And that's funny is because we started in business together around the same age, and we started with like a digital first mentality. We started with a marketing background and a digital background, and we always kind of intended to do like online financial services business, and we had a lot of alignment there. As I was kind of annoyed through my experiences of seeing how people got treated and how they had lost money and kind of not really engaged with financial freedom. Mm-hmm. And you had seen through your experience with your family and helping other clients know the gaps that people have in their knowledge, and kind of the rest is history. We were very lucky at the time that interest rates were dropping and that not many people were doing online marketing. And so, our cost per lead was like cents rather than dollars.
Yeah. And back then, we were able to still use Puss in Boots as our thumbnail.
Yeah, we were using memes before using memes was a thing.
Yeah.
And this is pre-Instagram for sure, just on Facebook. So the timing was great. I think we had alignment on values, and we were all desperate. We didn't have other things going on. We wanted to build a big business together and help a lot of people. And we borrowed an office. I think it was actually this office that we're in right now, a small space. And we're very lucky to be at a point where we do have the big premium office at the marina now.
Yeah. And the rent just went up. I just got the email.
Yeah, the rent did just go up.
Yeah.
Nice CPI adjustment. So I feel privileged, even though we argue sometimes about little things. We're good friends. And business is about, I think, being with the people that you're friends with, that you respect, and you spend a lot more time in the business and the place you work than you do with your friends and your family sometimes. So it has to be a lot of mutual respect and value alignment.
Yeah.
So, Landon, what do you think? When did we realize that we can make a real difference in the mortgage industry? Is there like particular moments that kind of sparked the journey for you?
It's a good question. I think it's not a particular moment. It's more to do with the fact that we were naive and think we could change the industry. Yeah, because in the beginning, we were trying to build a software and just do everything online. And we were trying to minimize the touch point for like human. And we spent a lot of money trying to automate getting all of the data off the bank statements into like a spreadsheet. But it was just always wrong and just like not worth the time. And then I guess after a little while, we realized, I can't remember, like a few months later, we're just like, actually, just getting the mortgage done online is not enough. Like these people need advice. And that's where I wanted to make a difference personally, was, seeing I could relate back to my mum and dad because they were very frugal all their lives and saved a lot of money, upgraded a house, always want better for their family, and they just didn't have much retirement savings by the time they're in their 50s, and they still had a mortgage. And so I just kind of made that my own mission to make a difference, because 7 out of 10 families are similar situation. Do
you recall any doubts or fears that almost stopped us like from pursuing this path? Like I can certainly think about some for myself.
Yeah, definitely. I think in terms of fears and doubts, it's always come back to your self-belief, because in the beginning, like you're naive and you think you can do a lot, but the more you mature and you work more in the business, there's a lot more to it, like compliance. You can't have as much fun with like jokes about the industry as you think you can. There's a lot of rules and regulations, and the more you know about the business, actually, the harder it is. And so it was about learning to adapt, and at the same time, trying to really think, what is it that you're trying to achieve? And I thought, the mission was right for me. So then it was worth it to learn all of those things and try and adapt to those regulations and all of the red tapes that are in the industry. So I've got a question for you, Andrew. Who were the key mentors or figures that guided us in the early stages of this journey? And what do you think are some advice that really shaped the way you sort of took on this path?
Yeah, you know that I read a lot, and I definitely consider the books that I pick up to be like mentors for me. Going back to what we were talking about around doubts and fears, when we first started getting a lot of inquiry, what we kind of were hoping for is that people would refinance with us without phone calls. We thought, okay, we're going to be an online mortgage advisory business. Everybody's going to do this online, emails, it's going to be easy. And then what we realize is if we don't call people, nothing happens. And what that does is it creates a situation where you have to call someone and talk about mortgages. But in the beginning, we didn't really know that much.
Yeah.
And certainly, even though people are making an inquiry, you still have to call them at a unscheduled time to try and get some momentum going. And I certainly remember one tough time for me was we weren't getting enough inquiry converting into like applications in the beginning. So I just decided that I was going to come back every night and do calls basically from 7 o'clock till 9 o'clock. Mm-hmm. But that was like by myself, and it was like I had a lot of limiting beliefs around like calling people, like call hesitancy. And like if you obviously you've done a lot of cold calling in your time.
Oh yeah, like I remember I was like, when I sat down, you guys are like still fresh on the phone. Like I've already done a couple of years on the yellow pages. Yeah.
And we couldn't have you doing all of the calls and all the applications and everything else that goes with it. I had to really double down and learn some new skills. And Tony Robbins actually, some of his CDs I was listening to at the time helped me craft this new kind of love for calling. Because calling, through the affirmations and through kind of setting a frame in my mind, I set about like kind of hypnotizing myself that when I put my headset on, that I would feel like a flood of like positive emotion, and that in my mind I'd be like yes, this, and that I would get momentum in myself.
Sounds like you're on a special type of drugs, but
yeah. Well, and this is the point where kind of there was a transition. That was the beginning of making like 5,000 calls. And that if I didn't get past that point, it would have been easy to make an excuse why doing refinancing online doesn't work. But it was just a small thing like making more calls that was an important part. So I found that like around the mentorship and guidance, like I've certainly relied on my old man quite a bit. He was in business for a long time by himself, went out on his own, and he didn't have anything to fall back on. And just discussing the challenges of the day with him as they come up has been helpful. And
yeah, because when we started, we were occupying one of the rooms of his office.
Yeah.
And I still remember some of the chats that I have in the morning when he's doing his scones for the team.
Wednesday scones, yeah.
Yeah, that's my mentorship session.
He said that's his HR is making scones on Wednesday.
Yeah, definitely Don was a big contributor in terms of, a lot of the early business lessons. I think you're right, like books-wise, we try to oversee mortgage companies. But I think in the early days, the HubSpot 0 to 100 million acceleration, I can't remember what that sales acceleration formula, and the Rocket Mortgage guy that came out and started doing his sales book, like those were a lot of the principles that we put in the beginning of our processes.
Yeah. I mean, you think about the Chet Holmes book and...
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
The
top 100.
Yeah. Oh, and Russell Brunson. Man, there's so many. We just had so much people that we followed and read, and we just take what they talk about and implement it.
Actually, probably one of the most meaningful kind of things for us was when we transitioned away from helping people refinance to helping people with building their property portfolios. And one of the ways we're able to do that much faster than doing all the property investing ourselves was reading property investment books.
Oh, yeah.
Property 101.
So we talk about property books. Yeah, that one is definitely foundational.
Yeah, and having bigger pockets available.
Shout out to Matt Gilligan.
Yeah, because there's a lot of effort that goes into writing a book with case studies, and you can have 20 years of case studies digested into your brain within like a week or two of reading a book. And it's crazy, but a lot of financial advisors probably don't do that.
Yeah.
And it's insane to not have the experiences of other people over decades just so easily accessible.
Yeah, there was for me, because I went on more property courses than Andrew. Andrew did probably more business stuff. I did the property apprentice. I did the asset lab. I did Peter Lee when he had his course, the property trading one. I went on a lot of renovation caravans, and then there were other books like overseas one that I did. Yeah, so definitely a lot of mentors on the way.
So what do you think, Blandon, was the turning point when we moved from having a small team to expanding the team and operations?
Yeah, the turning point would be I hope the twins don't get offended, but being in a small room with Ben and John, they are very sporty people, right? They like to move around. And
you think it comes down to body odor?
I didn't say that, but Andrew did.
I saved you.
But I think it was just as we try to add more of our friends to the team. Like I think it was like the first 13 employees. They're just like mates. Hey, just come join us. And then we just needed a bit more room. So we got one room, we turned it into 2 rooms, and we then moved to like the office just across the road, which is like slightly bigger. We can have the whole team there. But then that wasn't enough. Then we started having the boat shed. That was good times. When we all jumped on the phone, like there is no acoustic.
Yeah,
you can just hear everything.
Think of a giant garage and put 20 people in standing desks.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like an aeroplane. There's no real aisle room.
The girls hated it. They're like sharing the toilet with the boys.
Yeah.
So it didn't take long for us to have to get back the old office. So then we had the 2 office over on this side, and then you have to walk like maybe 8 minutes to the boat shed.
Not even that, man.
5 minutes?
But yeah.
Yeah.
It was certainly a challenging time to be in that boat shed. There was nowhere to grow from there.
Yeah, but definitely because you're adding more people, you're just trying to give everyone at least a desk space. And then, I think first 8 or 9 employees were guys. And then once you started adding females in there, you got to, really respect the space a lot more.
Yeah, it's kind of the analogy that I like to go back to is the pirate ship versus Navy ship. When we first started, there was no one really in charge. It was all just figure it out together. And it was not really understanding the rules or the kind of industry expectations. It was kind of just hoping we had another day. We had challenges with money, we had challenges with our marketing, we had challenges with HR, and we still have some of those problems. It's probably the biggest transition we made is when we decided, we need to start doing things a little bit more formally with policies and leaders. And
this is something I'd still tell the team now, right? And there's always 1,000 problems, but there's also 10,000 good things that we did. And that is the approach we should always wake up each day, thinking about, being able to celebrate all of the good things that we're doing and be able to be grateful on all the great things that are happening. But Andrew, what were some biggest challenge that we faced as we grew? Like what did we do to try and handle some of those setbacks?
I remember our website got hacked and crashed one time, and the developers were like, we're going to have to rebuild it. It's going to be a week or 2. And, about an hour later, I jumped on the web archive and found our old website. It was like 2 months old, and I was like, can we just use this?
Yeah.
And it's just like not because of my brilliance. It's like a metaphor for like problem solving. It's just like heaps of challenges we've had around like not enough money, not enough leads. Like there might be a situation where we're expecting 100 inquiries and then we got none over the weekend. What happened? Oh, there was something turned off that should have been turned on.
Yeah.
We've had challenges with HR. We've had challenges with, transitioning our business from a refinance business to an advice business. There's been, and there's every single week there's problems and challenges we face, and it's just like you said, focus on the good stuff and problem solve. I think that most people that are not running a business just don't realize how many challenges there are to deal with every single day. And when you add more people, you add more clients, 5,000 clients is something that we're close to, I believe, or have passed. The likelihood that every single one of them is going to be happy at the same time is not high. When you're submitting 100 applications a month, there's going to be a few little problems that happen. And just like you said, is have positive kind of reaction and mindset around it. And certainly like, biggest challenges we faced as we grew is like, hey, we're a bunch of kids. What do we know? And people were very suspicious about,
not kids anymore. So.
How did we grow this firm so quickly when we were 27, 28? People were certainly thinking that we're up to no good, or
I don't think we were that fast. Like
it doesn't seem fast when you look back, but there's plenty of people that have been doing what we're doing now for a long time that look at us and think, how did they get there?
Definitely.
And then some of the advisors in the industry have been very helpful for us, providing advice and mentorship on certain things when neither one of us has hesitation about reaching out to other people and asking for help.
Are we allowed to name him?
There's a few.
Yeah, I mean, Bruce was a huge one for us.
Yeah. If you're not familiar, Bruce Patton been in the mortgage game for 20 plus years.
Yeah.
He was my neighbor, but I'm sure he would have helped even if he wasn't.
Yeah.
And there's other advisors that over the years have come to see what we're doing and really respect and kind of offer their help as well. And I think that once the industry saw us is that we educate, and that a lot of the education we do is for free.
I think the grey helped to build more trust.
The grey?
Yeah, more wisdom.
There's a lot more greys in my hair than there used to be. I just got them cut out. Now the biggest challenge is making sure shareholders, when there's more than one owner, is that you agree. You agree on your values. You agree on your hiring and firing decisions. You agree on your positioning, and you have to agree in a partnership way and figure out who's going to be in charge of what. Because if you have shareholder disputes, and it can happen, that can be the beginning of the end. And we always have our little tiffs, but we get through it because we have the same intention with the business, is to help so many people. So can you share a moment when when we thought we might not make it? What do we learn from this experience? There's been a few.
Yeah, I think there are, when a business can't survive, it's usually because they ran out of cash, right? Or there's no market product fit. But for us, we have a market product fit, or product market fit, whatever you want to say, because we're just selling. It's not new what we're selling. It's maybe a slightly different approach, but we were really lucky because when COVID hit, it expedited our growth because we were already mostly online doing Zooms. We were doing Google Meets at the time, but then it just became a norm. But that was definitely one point when we were scared as well, because COVID hits, you still have to pay for your lease. You're not using it. You can't do any mortgages at that time. That was a pretty scary moment, and we just couldn't do anything. But we chose to just go. We just told the team, "Hey, don't worry about your targets. Everyone, just help your clients as much as possible to do mortgage holidays," and that's what we focused on. And I guess the industry all experienced it because money was cheap after the COVID, and the business actually doubled. But everyone started becoming a lot more receptive with the Google Meets and the Zoom, and it was much easier for us to do business. So it was a blessing in disguise. And I guess the other point was, it's only a couple of years ago, right? That was when, after the boom, we had a massive drop. If you guys remember, it was like end of 2021 going into 2022. And that was the first time Andrew kind of saw it earlier than me. He's seeing like, man, I think we're going to run out of cash. We're doing some projections. And because like my default is like, no, we got to try and make it work with what we have. So like for a month, I didn't do anything about it. I mean, I'm just like trying to compensate with do more sales, right? But I'm like, okay, 1 month later, I'm like, no, this is going to happen if we don't do something, because you can kind of see your projection and it's like you're below zero on the cash if you don't do enough business and you're not sure how much business is coming in, because it was dead like from 2021 to 2022.
Yeah, I mean, we can talk a little bit about what we did. Is this was around November. We were looking forward about 12 months cash projections, and we had a big New Zealand-based team, and we were looking to buy some books, or we might have we made those commitments to buy some books of business, and
we already made those commitments, and I guess that's the interesting part as well. Is like we actually put a lot of money back into the business. Like when we first started, we were earning, 35,000, 40,000. Like that's how much we were paying ourselves. And even though we're making a profit, everything gets put back in.
Yeah.
Those were for
like the first 5 years.
Yeah. And I don't know how I long could survive. That was one of those moments where you don't know if you're going to make it.
Yeah. But no, as a result of, because one of the biggest mistakes we did for a long time is we didn't use cash flow forecast and budgeting, right? Even though we're finance guys, right? We always backed ourselves with the amount of leads that we have that we were going to be all right. What actually happened is we doubled the business, and then we doubled the business. 1 year we did a certain amount, then we doubled it again. The next year we doubled it again, and then we projected forward to double again, or there or thereabouts.
There weren't that many doubles, but okay, I get the point. Yeah.
But that actually didn't happen. Yeah. We actually went down. We went from a high watermark down to about 90% of that number.
Yeah.
But we had geared up our business to do a lot more, and it didn't look like it was going to happen. So what we ended up having to do is make tough decisions about using some offshore team, and that meant moving some of our New Zealand-based staff into new jobs elsewhere, and that restructuring process was very difficult, can be expensive, and quite like emotionally taxing for everybody, even the people that stay.
Yeah, like we had to get.
There was like,
we had to let go of some of the nicest people on the team.
Yeah, because the business, the structure and the strategy needed to change so that we could make sure that we made profit, because otherwise we weren't going to make money.
Yeah,
and so. It's kind of the non-sexy, kind of frustrating part about business is sometimes you're going to make really, really hard decisions about letting people go or changing remuneration structures, because if you don't, then the risk reward isn't there.
Yeah.
And there's been lots of decisions like that many people that are not the owners might disagree with, but as owners, we had to make those tough decisions because otherwise we get stuck in a business that doesn't make money, that carries a lot of risk. And it's not fun when you're not making money.
Definitely. Yeah.
So what's the most valuable lesson we've learned when you're looking back? And how are we going to use this lesson to continue empowering the clients and the Kiwi families we're helping with financial freedom?
I would say it comes down to the mission.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, if you have a mission, you have a purpose, you've got it'll lead you to come up with your values, and your values drive your decision. And if you can just work on that, then everything else will come. There are multiple ways to solve a problem. And I guess that's my lesson. What's yours, Andrew?
I think identifying and working through your limiting beliefs is super important. No, not everyone is born believing that they're the best. And most people are better than what they think they are at building wealth or at their job or at certain skills. They need encouragement from the outside, but also to understand from the inside that they can do it. So busting through my own limiting beliefs and us helping each other with limiting beliefs, but also with clients, encouraging them showing them why their opinion about a certain pathway needs readjustment, because based on the numbers, they can achieve their goals, but it's just going to require effort. I think some people look too far ahead and think that that journey is too hard, and they don't realize that it's just, one day at a time, but it's got to be focused energy.
Yeah, looking for that bigger purpose that's bigger than yourself. Sometimes it's just your kids, as simple as that. And I think a lot of people actually find it as a driver. They never think about the financial stuff before, but they have the baby, and then we have that conversation, and they want to do everything they can to set it up. So definitely. So what's next? And the answer is to be continued. So we have some big plans in place, right, that we want to try out. Obviously, we're at that point where, okay, we can put a bit more money on the side to do new things, new initiatives. So we're definitely thinking about different things, but keep watching the space. And, our goal is just to help more people towards that financial freedom journey, whether it is through education or mortgage advice. And remember, if you guys find value in this episode, instead of sharing this time, I'm looking to get better. So do leave a comment on one thing that you like about the episode and one thing we can do and improve. And we want to put out better content for you guys. So for those who are ready to take the next step in terms of, discovering where you are in this mortgage life cycle that we talk about, you can actually expand on that idea on the website. You can just go to our website, mhu.co.nz, and find the quiz, and then it'll tell you what part you're in. And hopefully we can help you accelerate towards your financial goals. Thanks for tuning in, and thank you, Andrew, for jumping on.
It's good to be with you, man.
All good. Talk soon.